Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It is your Capes Crusader, Cody, and we are keeping it geekly with our new friend, Tony James. We're here to break down Star Noir and everything in between. But before we do that, Tony, welcome to the stream. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me, Cody. It's great to be on this show.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always like breaking the ice, with these interviews. So let's start first and foremost with who you are and how you got into creating indie comics. Star Noir is a really interesting, take. It's a 1940s detective with like an alien twist to it. I loved it. We were talking backstage. Before we get into that goodness, though, let's start with the basics.
So I've been writing in some form of another since high school. I was doing short films, and then right after college, I started doing comics. My first successful comic was called Reloader. It's a cyberpunk comic about a virtual reality bounty hunter, and that is a total love letter to video games. Like so many of the references. I mean, even the first cover is a throwback to Dead Space, like the Dead Space cover. It's like the hand.
You are talking my language right now, Tony. I finally saved up for the action figures. They're like hundreds of dollars now. I finally got a Necromorph after 3 years of saving up for it, man.
Nice. Yeah, I want the Isaac with the full suit. I want the full gold suit that he has. Yeah. We made that a few years ago. That was successful on Kickstarter. And then I always have different stories that I'm writing at a time, and I wanted to transition to Star Noir, this other story that I was really excited about because I thought it was a really good genre mashup of noir and sci-fi. And that's what we're working on ever since.
And we were talking backstage too, and this was a little bit influenced by LA Noir. It seems like you have a knack for video games and comics. I mean, it's we were like, we should have met months ago, man. Where you been?
Yeah, right. I mean, LA Noir is definitely one of my all-time favorite games. I just love the sense of tension that's always, even if you're just kind of walking around a crime scene, it just kind of has this kind of feeling of cold air in the lungs. Very earnest approach to casework. I love the meticulous approach to detective work. How we as the player, we're engaged in every little piece of clues, and we are trying to gauge whether somebody is lying or not. And I thought it would be interesting if you kind of could bring that experience into a comic book.
Yeah, I really liked with LA Noir too. There was like maybe 15 minutes of action, like where you actually like shot a gun. The rest of it was like, not, it was like very investigating, very slow moving. So I think it really upped the ante. And from some of the interiors that we're seeing on the screen right now, it seems like you really encapsulated that feeling of that era too. How does it feel writing in the 1940s? Was that fun, like transitioning from like a cyberpunk bounty hunter type story to something that's like completely probably feels like hundreds of years before then?
I mean, it's what I like to do as a writer is whenever I write in one type of genre or a type of story, I like to go the opposite way. It's a little difficult when you're writing a period piece because there's just so much research that has to go into it. It's not just the cars and the way they looked. It's how they talked and the types of phrases that they would use. Or I was looking at like news articles for different murders that were going on at the time to just in case they might offhand mention one of these, just to really, and then all the events that were happening in 1947 Los Angeles at the time. Orson Welles is in one of the books, and he's making Macbeth, which famously had a really troubled production history where he like ran out of money, and it was this crazy thing. And then the characters of Star Noir actually go on the Hollywood set and actually meet him while he's making that movie. So it was really cool to kind of rebuild this like 1940s era.
I love how like you're creating your own world, but at the same time, like giving nods to the actual like real life world. You said you had to do a lot of pretty extensive research and such. What all went into like the character designs and kind of like shifting out the protagonist when you were working with your artist?
The character designs, I mean, at least when I was initially conceiving them, I mean, you kind of start with like Cole Phelps from LA Noir. You look at, Humphrey Bogart and all those old Hollywood movies, and you kind of just try to figure out your own kind of unique take on it. And then when I brought it to my artist Pablo, who was just in love with the story, I gave him the script. He thought it was incredible. He started giving me the concept art, and I loved his take on it. I would give him references of detectives, from different Hollywood movies of that era, and he came up with this original take on it. And I just love the way it looks. I mean, when I was posting the comic on like Reddit and stuff, like people had such a strong reaction to it that I'd never seen before. People were like, they were casting the movie. They were telling me, oh, this is going to be on AMC. This is going to be on HBO. And I'm like, whoa, hey guys, like I love that, but let's make a great comic book.
Yeah. That's awesome though, to get that much support from Reddit. So I'm curious though, what was some of the biggest things they were loving? I love the fact that you have an alien. Like, was that a big thing for them too?
Yeah, I mean, they are most captivated by the concept in itself of just a human working with an alien. Some people shouted out Alien Nation from like the 80s. I've never seen that movie, but
I've never seen it either.
No, I looked up the trailer. It's a very goofy B movie, but it's a human working with an alien, so I could kind of see how it reminded them of that. But yeah, they love the look of the 1940s. They love the art style, how much detail there is in there, how much emotion comes out of the characters. I mean, there's an alien abduction scene that's on the campaign page, and people just like went crazy for that, just seeing the big spaceship land in the guy's backyard and how he's just running away to go grab his gun because he's terrified of what he's seeing. When on paper it seems like such a crazy concept, but when you see these two like together drawn, it's like awesome. Like seeing like the alien in his little outfit with the hat, and we were talking like L.A. Noir was a big inspiration for this, but how did you end up pairing him with an alien? That is such an interesting take. I love it. I mean, it's kind of birthed out of trying to do the genre mashup, and you're like, okay, so I'm going to do this noir story. I'm going to figure out how aliens and this sci-fi element is going to fit into it. And I really, on the sci-fi side, my influences are the X-Files, which I grew up watching with my dad. And I really loved how they took real world alien abduction stories and they wove it into their own original narrative. And what it gave you was almost this like grounded sense of aliens. Like they don't feel very fantastical or bombastic. There's like an earnest approach to them, and you kind of get this fear through like the fear of the unknown, and you definitely get a lot of that in that story. And then doing it as a noir genre, I didn't want the sci-fi elements to come in and then just push aside the noir genre. I really wanted to commit to it being in a noir setting. So things like the alien, for story reasons, Alan, the main character, he can see the alien's gray form, and everybody else sees somebody who looks more like Tom Holland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's able to kind of like give a different like look to himself when others are looking at him. I think that's a really unique way to take it as well. So are we going to be looking at like extraterrestrial like type of crimes, or are they still going to be investigating like human crimes?
Well, they are extraterrestrial crimes, but they are done to humans.
Okay.
So the murder mystery is that several detectives are being killed one by one in Central Station, and these two have paired up to figure out who it is, because it's a shapeshifter, and the alien tells Alan, our main character, this shapeshifter looks like one of the cops in your precinct. So you kind of have a little bit of that McCarthyism looking over your shoulder, trying to figure out which one it is. And just when you think, you as the reader, when you think that, oh, this detective, that's got to be the shapeshifter. Nope, he's gone. And then you think, oh, this guy's definitely it. Nope, he's gone. And we're just kind of taking you down to, Red Herring City until we figure out who it actually is.
No, that is awesome. So before we dive into the Kickstarter, what was some of the creative process in creating this like for you with your team? And if you want to, feel free to give them a shout out as well.
My artist is Pablo Dubonis. He is from Argentina. Very, very nice man. I was looking for an artist for this book. I reached out on a Facebook group, and he I gave him the script and he was just absolutely blown away by it. I mean, he was so excited. He like unprompted started doing concept art.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I just, immediately like his vision for it was just incredible. I mean, he adds so much life to each panel. Like there's like a crime scene and I'm just mentioning like, hey, we just got to see this car, we got to see this dead body. But he's like, adding police in the background, there's people moving around, like there's just so much life that he adds to it. And then Vin Townsend, he's from Brazil. He's done some IDW stuff for G.I. Joe. He came up with this like brushstroke style that makes everything look really vintage, and it just leans into that 1940s era that we were going for.
Yeah, I was gonna say the colors are really like visually striking. It puts you in that mindset that you're in that time and age, and I think the combination of all you guys like just made such a perfect fit for this.
Yeah, it's really good. And then I don't want to forget about our letterer, Marco Ventura. He's from Italy. What I love the most about him, and I think the colorist, the artist, and myself, we're very similar, is that we have an understanding of the rules, whether it's storytelling or it's layouts or it's lettering, and we have good reasons for breaking those rules. I've read a bunch of like how-to books on comics just to understand the language of comics, and then Marco, our letterer, he would make a choice, and I would go, well, what about this according to the rules of lettering? And then he goes, well, I understand that, but here's a very good reason as to why we should try it this way.
So it goes to show you how important those rules are to know, like to break them, right? Like you have to know those rules in and out before you can make those choices, because sometimes breaking a rule when you have no idea what you're doing could really have some negative impacts.
Exactly. And it's just this team is just very tight knit. I mean, we are just very much into this project. Like every time I'm like, hey, we're gonna make another page, they're all excited. They email me back instantly. They're like, you'll have this in a couple of days. Let's get it. And it's just been smooth sailing. It's one of the best experiences I've had working with a creative team.
Dude, that has to be so like surreal too, having a team that's in love with your project as much as you are. You know what I mean? Yeah. To have that much passion. Because like you said, with your artists, especially like when you have someone that passionate, they're adding things and details to the panels that you weren't even thinking of, and it just goes to make it that much more better.
Yeah, I mean, and when you're writing in the graphic medium, you're writing for the artist. So there's just this kind of a chance to let go of some of your kind of crystallized vision that you have in your head. But working with these guys, it's like, I pitched the alien abduction scene and I have a vibe about how it's going to be really spooky. And then the artists, they just nail it. Like wow, that's exactly what I was looking for. The same vibe. It's just like, maybe you try a different camera angle that I wasn't thinking about, but like it's still the vibe that I was envisioning.
I think right now would be the perfect segue. Let's go ahead and pull up the campaign and look at the Kickstarter and check out what we're here looking at today. Right, so we're looking at Star Noir Book 1, a 1940s detective team-up with a gray alien to stop a shape-shifting killing LAPD officers in Central Station. So we're currently at a goal of 5,676 of a pledge goal of 10,000 with 128 backers and 21 days to go. Congratulations, you're halfway there. That is awesome. And a third of the, you still have 2/3 of the campaign left. So that is awesome, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm going to try to finish strong.
So what's been some of the things that you've been doing differently this time around? I know we were talking backstage and you've done roughly around 12 interviews, but anything else in terms of like promoting or campaigning, that you did differently from your Cyberpunk story?
Well, I was promoting it a month before I launched it. I was definitely going around telling people about it and showing the art, because we made these initial pages like a couple months ago, just specifically for the Kickstarter campaign to show people. So going around a month before it launched was definitely helpful. My girlfriend has set up, is working with a creative agency. They kind of, push me out to podcasts and stuff.
Okay.
So yeah. that's been really helpful. And then it's just such a strong response. I mean, honestly, it's almost like this idea and this concept and this art, it's like it's opening doors. Like people are just having such a strong reaction to it. I mean, one of my favorite comments when I first showed the cover, somebody was like, I don't know what this is, but I need more of it in my life right now.
We have our good friend El Cudo, Manny, over on YouTube stopping to say, what up? Pages look great. Absolutely, absolutely. For anyone that is watching, let me go ahead and share this link in the chat. Feel free to check it out with us. And if you're unable to back, it is New Comic Book Day. So if you're unable to back, a simple retweet or even sharing it on Facebook, word of mouth is 100% free and goes a long way. So let's go ahead and check out this video and see what it's all about.
1947. Alan Miller,
I love the
a homicide
voiceover.
detective, a real ace in his field, has nightmares about strange beings. He's called in to investigate the murder of traffic detective Patrick Perkins, a most unusual slaying. The sight is not for the faint, but what is most curious is that Perkins' heart has been removed. The only lead is a beautiful silver starlight, the type of vehicle you'd never take your eye off of. The case runs cold, but Detective Miller is met by a strange being from his nightmares. The alien gives him the rub. He informs Alan that a, quote, shapeshifter, unquote, killed the young traffic detective. The kicker? This monster is hiding within Central Police Station alongside his fellow officers. The detective pays no mind to his encounter, but the same visitor is seen chatting up the captain. Alan barges into the captain's office and meets a young man, Ellis Tate, a new transfer from the Big Apple, a man who's been assigned to be Alan's new partner in the Perkins case. This story is penned by Mr. Tony James, a writer of sorts, a lover of old noir and science fiction. He's accompanied by 3 able-bodied artists, aces in their own field, much like our detective. And hot damn, take a gander at those rewards. Commemorate your purchase with these fine items. Don't be a fuddy-duddy. Back Star Noir today. It's the only way to defeat the communists.
That was just chef kiss. We have El Cudo saying, laugh out loud, nice, where's my scotch? Oh, there it is. Was that you doing the voiceover?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Dude, that is you did that on your phone?
Yeah, that was on my phone.
Oh
here.
man, dude, that was good. That was good. You don't even need a microphone, dude. You are making that iPhone work its magic. Holy crap.
Yes,
So
thank you so much.
here's the story for Star Noir. LA Noir meets X-Files. Star Noir is a 6-part detective story following homicide detective Alan Miller and his gray alien partner Ellis Tate as they travel across 1940s Los Angeles to find elusive shape-shifting killing officers in Central Station. So it's inspired by the grit and tone of noir books like James Ellroy's The Big Nowhere and has a snappy dialogue of Humphrey Bogart's The Big Sleep and a stylized 1940s Los Angeles as seen in the movies like Chinatown and LA Confidential. So here is the cover, and this is I love this. It's very impactful. We have the blood trail leading up to the car. What was some of your direction for this cover? You know, what was some of the inspiration for it?
It was just trying to recreate movie posters from the 1940s. So there were a few noir movies that came out during that era, and I just had the artist do his own take on it. You know, just showing kind of the important things of the main characters. The car is an important lead in the story, because the first crime scene is on this bridge. Which kicks off the whole story. But yeah, the lettering is inspired by old 1940s movie posters.
No, that is awesome. I love it. So here is a look at some of the interior scenes as well. And once again, for anyone that is interested in deep diving some other information on the Kickstarter, right there is the link once again. So we are looking at a panel where they're investigating his heart being removed. I think that is such a graphic and gory scene, and I love it, man. Holy crap. So are we going to expect other crime scenes to be of this nature?
Yes, sir. Yes, this is just the first one that kicks off the story. And the heart being removed is the killer's MO. And
okay.
Yeah, that happens to every person that gets killed. It's just the same thing that happens, and it builds to a really shocking conclusion where it all comes together. That's pretty awesome and pretty horrifying at the same time.
And I love the detail to this, like the blood on the interior and on the seat. You got the handprint right there. Like, it's very detailed. And some of the techniques too, you know, the dark shading on the back. I love this art style a lot. And like you said, your colorist, their brush stroke to make it look a little bit more older. It's just like the perfect touch. So this is not the abduction scene, though. This is the first encounter. I really love the colors in this. I love like the blues like emanating from the spaceship. You know, what was your, like when you went to send this script to the artist, you know, how different was it like from your first words to what the artist sent back to you?
It's actually very close. I mean, like when I write these scripts, it's basically just a blueprint. I'm not trying to say this type of camera angle or this type of shot or anything like that. It's just more like a vibe. And it's, you know, this lands in the alien lands in a spaceship in his backyard in the middle of the night. The spaceship itself emits a lot of radiation that causes the grass to be very frozen and cold. So the colors kind of brought a lot of that kind of cold kind. You can kind of see a lot of the frost kind of pouring off the character and the ship, and then even in another panel on this page, you kind of see the breath, the hot breath coming out of Alan's mouth. I
love that though. The attention to the detail, dude, is great.
Yeah, so this scene, after Alan is trying to figure out what happened to the traffic detective on the bridge. He's met by this alien who will become Ellis Tate, his partner for the story. And he tells him that, hey, it's a shapeshifter that killed this detective, and he exists in your precinct, and I want to help you find out who it is.
Oh, I like that. And here are some of the other interiors too. So this is a very detailed background. Like I love like it seems like every panel is just bursting with detail, and just like the models, you know, the character models look beautiful. Like right here you see Detective Miller like all beat up. It looks like he's seen some things, you know.
Yeah, he gets in one of the earlier scenes in the first book, he gets into a fight with a gangster at his local bar, so he gets roughed up a little bit.
I love, like you said, you've studied a lot of the verbiage. So right here, rest your cannon. Like that's something, you know, they definitely wouldn't be saying around this time and age, but like back then that was a really prevalent like term back in the day. Yeah.
The captain also refers to the car as a jammer. That's also a old-timey word as well. But talking about the detail of this office here, a lot of the interiors for the precinct came from LA Noir. Just going into the game and just walking around and taking screenshots and just taking as many screenshots as I could from different angles and then giving it to the artist. So there's a lot of influence from LA Noir in even in this panel here that you're looking at.
That is awesome. I love that. When you mentioned that earlier, I was like, dude, this is so cool. I you know, because comics and video games, dude, that's life. So when I find someone who is able to kind of combine them both, that's like such a perfect combination.
Yeah. Yep.
So here are some sample pages of the interior from the 42-page book 1 to get a sense of the quality of both the art and the story, which you can expect from Star Noir. So we'll kind of just skim over those just a little bit to give you guys a look at some of these interiors. And like I said, dude, this detail is just beautiful. Like the blood trail and smear, the crime scene. You have the people around the circle taking pictures, and the cameras too, man. The old school cameras.
Yeah, that was really fun. Yeah,
right here with the breath.
Yeah, there you go. It's very, very cold, and he's the alien is speaking to him telepathically, and he freaks out, so he goes to get his gun. Because I mean, what else are you gonna do when you meet an alien?
Yeah, it's 1940s too. Like, you know, maybe it's something in this day and age we could probably like be like, okay, I could see that happening now. But back then, like, they really didn't even have TVs then, right? I'm not sure. I know radio was a big thing, right?
Just radios.
Yeah, just radios. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, living in a world without TVs, how crazy would that be?
I can't even imagine. Well, we even during this campaign, we were making new pages that we were showing the backers. If you look at one of my updates, you can see the opening scene where the traffic detective is actually killed by the alien. That top one right there. If you scroll
the Ernest. I love the Ernest.
Yeah. You scroll down a bit. There you go. They got the inks of the opening scene here. And this is the traffic detective that you see dead on the bridge with his heart missing. This is him finding this car on the bridge.
And the fear in his eyes too.
Yeah. And we wanted to, for this scene, really wanted to capture the sense of isolation that he's by himself on this bridge.
Oh my God, this thing looks terrifying too. See like the drool like dropping from his mouth. This is awesome, man.
Yeah, and then there he gets he gets gutted there, and that's the end of him.
Yeah, dude, this is talk about a bridge too far to cross. Yeah, that was awesome. The attention to detail, I love the graphic and the gore, man.
Yeah,
those type of comics are some of my favorites to read.
Yeah, and we also, to kind of balance out the kind of serious aspects of the story, you also have a really fun buddy cop story in here. You have two detectives who are so diametrically opposed in how they do casework. I mean, Alan is very, very typical, no nonsense. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty to get information out of a suspect. And Ellis is very benevolent. Like, why would you beat up somebody when you can just talk to them? And he doesn't like to use a gun, which gets him into trouble, and he has to use his intellect to get himself out of a jam in a couple instances. So it's fun seeing their ideas about how to go about detective work. Kind of.
I love this in particular because now we see why he's so wide-eyed. Because he realizes the alien doesn't look like an alien here. He's actually assumed like another person's form.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And just that attention, like right here too, he looks like you can see him as clear as day as an alien right here. So like, I love like you guys like made sure to hit all those marks like right on the head too.
Yeah, and then we do some really interesting things in the story to kind of create a scary atmosphere. We obscure some of the views of the aliens, so it's like you're always seeing them, but kind of like an old horror movie. Like, it's your imagination that's going to freak you out. It's where you almost see them. You see a little bit of them. You see, just like on the bridge scene you were seeing a second ago, you were seeing the alien in the shadow with the jewel coming out. Like, it's not a clean look, but it's a good enough look for you to kind of let your imagination start taking it the rest of the way.
So here are some of the rewards as well. So are these going to be the backing rewards?
Yes, sir. Yes, they are. All
right. So it looks like we have some 4x6 postcards. The first encounter, and then at it looked like the Habitat for Humanity building site. I'm not exactly sure.
This is one of those. It's a neighborhood where they build the houses for vets. Which was a big thing in the 40s, and also they put it in LA Noir as well. So there's a personal story reason for why he's checking out one of these veterans.
Was that with the where there was the bomb that went off and you had to find the pieces of the bomb?
Yeah, that was the one of the arson cases.
Yeah, dude, I love it, man. Holy crap! I can't believe I just remember that. It's been years since I played.
Yeah.
And then we have some vintage posters as well as baseball cards. So I love these baseball cards. These are so awesome, especially with the badge as well.
Yeah, we the different badge numbers for each detective, and then the cards. There's some character stats in there as well, and even which sidearm that they use. I really wanted to make them all really different and unique to each character. And then with the poster, our colorist Vin, he added this additional texture that has these like crease lines that make it look really kind of weathered and vintage, which is really, really cool.
No, that is awesome. And then let's go through some of the tiers too. So for $10, you get the driver's seat tier, which is named in the thank you section.
Yeah, these are all named after LA Noir cases, by the
way. For $20, you get the setup, so a digital copy of book 1. Your name in the thank you section as well. 25 or more, The Fallen Idol, a hard copy of book 1, 42 pages. So is that going to be a hard cover then, or like a hard paper?
It's a soft cover book, but it's not a floppy. It's got a good bind to it.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And then we have the 45 or more, The Golden Butterfly. So you get 2 of the 4x6 postcard prints.
Yeah.
70 or more, The Quarter Moon Murder. So a set of 3 detective baseball cards. It includes everything in the previous tiers as well. And then we have 100 or more, The Red Lipstick Murder. So that'll get you the 11x17 vintage noir poster. And then all the other previous tiers.
You get everything.
What was that?
No, I said you get everything on top of that. So
I got you. Yeah.
You're coming out a winner.
And then right here is the team, and we kind of already did a deep breakdown of them, but here is some pictures behind the faces. And I love how you did these like with a classified like case file, the fingerprints and everything at the bottom. I think that's awesome, dude.
Thank you.
And then the man of the hour himself, Detective Tony James.
Yes. Me and my cat, Ginny.
Yeah, two cats myself. I like, yeah, you see me playing with my nose earlier. The hair just emanates from me, dude. So I'll just be sitting here and one will just start floating up. It'll catch me on the nose. I'm like, oh no, not now, not now.
Yeah, we're changing seasons, so they're shedding one coat to build up a winter coat.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then here is a look at the pie chart for where the funds are going to go. I always love seeing these two, kind of getting a good idea of where the money is going. Paper quality is also going to be very important too. So
Yes.
looks you're going to get some professional grade paper.
Yes.
Awesome, dude.
Because the paper shortage is. I don't know if you've been to a comic book shop recently, but some books are being printed on like tissue paper, which is like kind of unfortunate.
Mhm.
So I am gonna just really kind of go the extra mile and make sure that the book that you're getting is extremely high quality, because if we work really hard on the story, we work really hard on the art, we really want to bring it home and make sure that it's a book that it's worth having.
No, absolutely. So this is the Kickstarter in its entirety. Let's go ahead and start to wrap things up. Before we do that, what would you like to say to anyone who might be on the fence about backing this book after kind of taking a deep dive in the Kickstarter, looking at all the different tiers? For anyone who might be just teeter-tottering, what would you say to them?
I'm reminded of a story when I went to go buy a copy of The Witcher 3. I had never played it, and I asked the man at the counter, "What is your return policy?" And he looked at me really earnestly, and he said, "You're not returning this. Like you are going to enjoy yourself. Like, I'm not even worried about you not enjoying yourself." And that's how I feel with Star Noir. It's like we have worked extremely hard for months. Like, this script has been through so many revisions. Like, you know, I myself as a writer, I am just constantly studying story structure. Like, this is not the first story I've written. This has got to be closer to like the 10th story I've written.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so you're picking up a book that I feel has hit all of the marks. It is great story mixed with great art. It's not flash over substance. You're getting the substance with the flash. So if you jump in, if you back the book, like I know that you're going to get something extremely high quality that you're going to be very entertained by.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that. We have J. Michael Miller over on YouTube stopping in to say some great details. Welcome to the stream, J. Michael Miller. We always love seeing you in chat. So, Tony, I got to ask you, what is next in the pipeworks for you? I know you're currently running a campaign, you know, so right now that's your main focus, but after everything is successfully funded, you know, where are you going to be going next?
Well, we're going to obviously make the book. We're going to pitch it to publishers, you know, because in this era, publishers, they're not interested in the idea alone. They want to see that return in investment, and what they really respond to are successful Kickstarters. So if I were to like bring this to Image with the book funded, that would actually get their attention more than just the book and there's no Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be doing there. And then while we're making that, I am going to, as a sort of palate cleanser for myself before launching into the second book, I have a web comic. It's a very Garfield inspired. It's about a talking pistachio with a mustache called Mustachio.
Is that from Left 4 Dead?
What?
Is that from Left 4 Dead?
No. Is that a mustache?
Yeah, so Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, they I don't know if it's mustachio, but it's like there's a nut with a mustache, and you get like a secret achievement for shooting it or carrying it throughout the level. Like, you got to pick it up and you got to run through the level and avoid all the zombies. Yeah. Man, I had to ask because you love video games, so I was like, dude, is he the man? This dude is like killing it right now.
Nah, I don't know if it came through that, but yeah, it's that one's on Instagram. I am Mustachio. You can find it. That one's a nice one that I like to do after doing something really serious, because it's fun, it's lighthearted, it's not as intensive. I don't have to spend months of research. It's just 4 panel, 3 setups and then a punchline. So yeah, we'll be pitching the book to Star Noir to publishers. We'll be making the book. I mean, the whole story is already written. So it's just like once we're kind of turning the corner and almost done with the first book, it'll just switch over to doing the second book. And then, yeah, I'll be working on the webcomic, when I'm not working on Star Noir.
No, that is awesome. After this, I'm gonna have to send you some pictures of that so you don't think I'm absolutely crazy. But man, I loved it, dude. I love it. I love it so much. The pistachio with the mustache.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody who's watching or whatever. I'll be at New York City Comic Con the first week of October. So if you, I mean, I'm very hard to miss. I got a giant mustache.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk to me and ask me more about Star Noir, I can show you more stuff. I even got concept art in my back pocket. I'd love to show people. So.
Dude, let's go. Well, Tony, I appreciate you coming on here, breaking down everything. I haven't had many opportunities to nerd out with my comic book crew about video games, so it's always awesome when we get a chance to kind of just like geek out a little bit. That's the name of the show, keeping it geekly. So when we get to, I love it. Now we always end things on a strong note before we end the podcast. So Tony, for anyone that is watching right now who might be maybe struggling with getting started in the writing or in the art or any part of the process of creating a comic, what type of advice would you offer them to help them get motivated to just go? Like anything to help them just kind of break that barrier and just get started.
Well, I know for me as a writer, you kind of really have to be nice to yourself, especially if you've never done something before. Very high probability that you're not going to be very good at it. And during that initial portion where you're making that thing, like you have to almost forgive yourself and let yourself be terrible so that you can then turn around on the next thing and be much better at it, because it's a process. I mean, if you look at your favorite writers, your favorite storytellers, if you were to look at the first draft of something that they made when they were first starting out, like you would fall out of your chair. You're like, how did they win all these awards and all these accolades? It's because it's a process. It takes time to kind of build up the discipline and the skill level to really execute your stories. And really, it's just honestly just showing up every day and just trying to get finished whatever you can get done. I mean, if you can only work on one page, work on one. If you can work on 5, if all you did was reach out to some artists, that was a good day. If you found an artist, that was a good day. Just these kind of little victories, and not to get too disillusioned right away because you don't have this perfect story and the perfect team and everything's coming together. Just recognizing that it's a process, and yeah, just being really nice to yourself while you're in the process.
I love that. I think that's the first time we've ever had advice of that nature where it's like, just, be sure to be kind to yourself too, because that's a big part of it, right? Like not hating yourself for not being able to pump it out the way you'd like to and resenting like what you're doing because you're not at the level you think you should be. I think that is remarkable. Thank you, Tony. For everyone that is watching, once again, it is New Comic Book Day. What are you waiting for? Here is the link to the Kickstarter. Be sure to check it out. If you can back it. If you're not able to, share it. Twitter, Facebook, word of mouth is 100% free. Tony, thank you so much for coming by and starting this Wednesday off on the perfect note. Such an awesome show. I appreciate it, man. I hope everyone watching is having an awesome day, but most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.